Hello guys, welcome again to your English class during pandemic times. I am Juan Carlos and today's topic is quantifiers. The first thing is to say what a quantifier is, right? Well, a quantifier is a word that expresses or tells us the amount or quantity of something, right? That is why we say or we call them quantifiers, because of the quantity. That means that the number, it is not important or it is not relevant, or maybe we don't know the exact number. We just express a quantity or an amount of something. Okay? Then the second important thing is to tell you that quantifiers are for countable and uncountable nouns. Remember that? Contables and incontables. So we have some quantifiers that are exclusive for countable nouns, and there are also quantifiers that are also exclusive for uncountable nouns. So we're going to see which are quantifiers, which are they, what are they, and who works with whom. Alright, so let's see. So now you can see these 7 quantifiers, and we have divided them in countable and uncountable, right? So we have in the side of countable a few, many, and in the side of uncountable we have a little and much. If you pay attention in here, we have 3 that are in the middle: some, a lot of, and any. Well, these 3 are possible in both countable and uncountable. Now we pay attention how each quantifier works. So for example, in a few or few, which means pocos or pocas. Okay, now a little or little, which means poco or poca. If you pay attention in here, the meaning in Spanish, I mean the blue color, pocos or pocas, and poco or poca, depends according to what you're talking about. For example, countable or uncountable. If you say pocos, that means that you can count the nouns. Tú puedes contar los sustantivos. That's why you say pocos. On the other side, we have poco. That means that it's uncountable, right? Poca agua, for example. Remember that water is uncountable. Now, when we talk about some, again, the meaning depends about if you're talking about countable or uncountable nouns. So, for example, the meaning of some as a countable noun means algunos or algunas, okay? On the other side, we have as an uncountable quantifier, it means algo, okay? Now, for example, for many, which means muchos or muchas, is for countable, right? On the other side, we have much, which means mucho or mucha, uncountable, okay? Now we have, for example, this, a lot of, or a lot, it depends. If you're talking about a countable noun, we say muchos or muchas, right? And for example, if you're talking about an uncountable noun, you say mucho or mucha. Finally, we have any. Any is very interesting. Any has 4 possibilities, okay? For example, if you're talking about a countable noun as a countable quantifier, the meaning can be algunos or algunas. If you're talking about questions, if you're using a question, right? And if you're using a negative sentence, then it means ningún or ninguna, okay? When we are working with with uncountable nouns, then if we are using it in a question, we say algo, right? In a question. And uncountable. If we are working with a negative sentence, then we say nada, okay? Now, I am going to give you some examples how each one of these works, okay? Now we have two questions. In the first one says, how many books do you have? In this case, books has a C above it, right? Why? Because books is a countable noun, right? One book, two books, three books. So how many books do you have? Well, the possible answers are this. I have few books, pocos libros. I have some books, algunos libros. I have many books, muchos libros. I have a lot of books, un montón de libros or muchísimos libros. And finally we have I don't have any books. Remember that any is used in negative sentences. So we say no tengo ningún libro. On the other hand, we have how much money do you have? If we pay attention in here, money has a U, right? Why does it have a U above it? Because money is an uncountable noun, right? So that's why it is using much, right? In the first question with books, we are using many. That's why. Much, uncountable, books, countable. So how much money do you have? Well, the possible answers are I have little money, poco dinero. I have some money, algo de dinero. I have much money, mucho dinero. I have a lot of money, un montón de dinero. And I don't have any money. No tengo nada de dinero. Remember that any is used for negative sentences. Now, in the answer number 3 and number 4, I have much money and I have a lot of money. We have some these arrows. Why? Because they have similar meanings. Significan casi lo mismo. But in this case, a lot of is more common. Much more common, okay? So it is more frequent that you see a lot of instead of much. Alright, so these are the possibilities. Do you remember that we say that any also works with questions? Well, in here we have 4 examples. Number 1 says, are there any questions? Remember that questions is a countable noun. 1 question, 2 questions, 3 questions. So are there any questions? Yes, there are, or no, there aren't. In the second one, it says, do you have any brothers? It could be also sisters. Do you have any brothers or sisters? But in this case, it's just brothers. Do you have any brothers? Yes, I do, or no, I don't. Of course, you can count your brothers. 1 brother, 2 brothers, okay? Now, when we work with uncountable nouns, for example, in question number 3, is there any milk in the fridge? Right? Milk is an uncountable noun. Yes, there is, or no, there isn't. Okay? Do we have any sugar in the cupboard? Sugar is an uncountable noun. That's why we're using any like this. Yes, we do, or no, we don't. So in question number 1 would say, ¿hay alguna pregunta? Question number 2, ¿tienes algún hermano? Or tienes hermanos, if you want to say like that. But in this case, we're using any. Number 3 is, ¿hay algo de leche en el refri? And number 4, yeah, it would be, ¿tenemos algo de azúcar en la alacena? Alright? So, if we pay attention in here, these 4 questions are closed questions, right? Because you are answering with yes or no. This is important, okay? Good. So we have some examples, okay? Let's see. How much salt do you need? If you pay attention in here, much is according to this, which is salt, and it is an uncountable noun. I don't have any friends. In this, it matches with here. We say that it is also 4 countable nouns, and it matching here because it is a negative sentence. And I don't have any friends. Okay. Now, there is a lot of noise. Perfect, right? Because a lot, it is also used for uncountable noun. That's why appears in here is. Okay? How many classes do you take? Classes, it's a plural. So that's why we're using in here many. How many classes do you take? ¿Cuántas clases toma? I think that you have like 7, right? but mine is your favorite. Okay, now I have a few oranges. I bought a few oranges. And in this case, few, remember that few is just for countable nouns, like in here. Pocas naranjas. Good. So that's it, guys. I hope that you like and understood the class. See you on the next one, alright? Bye bye.